The water was black, and it felt like it wanted to take everything from me. Breath, strength, sense of time, all of it. I remember thinking very clearly that if I didn't move, 2 men would die and there would be nothing left for my sister or my Nana June. So I dove in. That was it. 3 seconds that decided a life, and the rest of my life followed. My name is Marcus Cole. I grew up in a duplex on the wrong side of Camden, Ohio, the kid who fixed other people's cars for cash and learned to sleep on whatever couch was free. My mom died when my sister Kayla was born. My dad, Samuel, well, he was supposed to be our hero, but at 12 he disappeared behind cold gray bars when the system decided to be quicker than it was fair. Nana June raised us. She taught me to clean, to share, to keep a promise. One of those promises was never to make kindness transactional. Don't do it for money. Do it because it's right. So, when the private jet hit the lake outside Harborview Marina and the world folded into a single sound of metal and water, I didn't think about reward, or headline, or the kind of men who fly in silk suits. I just thought of Kayla and Nana June and how cold the lake would feel if nobody moved fast. I stripped off my jacket, kicked off my boots, and swam. The plane had that horrible slow tilt, tail up, nose down like something breathing its last. I forced my way through the plastic and glass and the smell of jet fuel, and I grabbed 2 people, a pilot slumped over, face white as a plate, and a passenger in an expensive suit who kept mouthing, "Help me, I can't get the belt." He had blood on his temple. When we hit shore, I was shaking so hard I thought my hands would fall off. I started compressions over and over until my arms burned like they'd been branded. He coughed up lake water and his eyes found mine, and something in the way he looked made me uncomfortable, like he was learning my face, filing it away. That man was Evan Reed, CEO of Reed Dynamics, a name I wouldn't have known if Kayla hadn't shoved a phone in my face later. If you want fresh details, I'm telling you all of them. Harborview Marina, Camden, Ohio. Nana June's pills in the mini-fridge. These are the things that make a person real. 3 days later, there was a thick envelope on my stoop. Inside was a check, $25,000, and a note that read, "Not a payment, a token of respect." My hands shook. For a family that sometimes had to choose between insulin or groceries, that was a miracle-sized number. I stared at the zeros like they were a test. Do you take salvation, or do you keep your honor? I sent it back. I wrote, "I did what anyone should do. I can't accept payment." I sealed it, found $12 for a courier, and handed it over. In my head, I pictured Nana June's eyes and Samuel's advice. Stay soft where it counts. I thought I was done with the whole thing. I thought kindness could be anonymous and pure and still enough. Then Evan called. His voice was gravel and an IV drip of humility. He told me he had gotten my note, that it said something about me he couldn't ignore. He also told me something I never expected to hear 15 years before my father, Samuel Brooks, had saved his life in a parking lot while he was a broke programmer sleeping in his car. The laptop Samuel saved that night had been the seed for Reed Dynamics. Evan never forgot it. He spent years trying to find Samuel to repay him, but by the time Evan found the trail, Samuel was inside a cell on a conviction that didn't hold up. Evan had been building a stack of reasons to reopen that case for months. I remember the odd cold sound in my chest. Part disbelief, part hope. My father had never told us about saving anyone. He never talked about the night because he didn't want reward or attention. But Evan had dug, and what he found was rotten tampered evidence, paid witnesses, a supervisor who skimmed the pension and planted a story to cover it. The prosecutor wanted a quick win. The public defender wanted to go home. Samuel lost. Years later, Evan's investigator found a witness who recanted emails that proved the theft ring bank transfers. Suddenly, our old family story, the one with all the missing pieces, had a contractor to put it back together. Evan didn't do anything halfway. Within 10 days, he had lawyers in a courtroom, a stack of documents that read like proof you can hold up against the roughness of a bad system. The judge read the motion the defense called the retired investigator to the stand. The whole thing felt surreal. The anxiety, the waiting, the small miracles stacking on top of each other. Then the gavel came down and the judge vacated Samuel's conviction. Free, effective immediately. Compensated for wrongful imprisonment. When the prison gates opened and Samuel walked out, he was older and smaller than the last time I saw him, but the strong shoulders were still there. We ran into each other like we were made of a rubber that snaps back after being stretched. He said he never stopped fighting in the small private ways he could. Letters appeals a stubborn insistence on the truth. That night we ate dinner at a tiny table and he told me what he'd done and what he'd missed. Birthdays of a different kind, the ache of missed first steps and small silences. I told him about the lake. But Evan Reed didn't stop there. He invited us to lunch and then to a conversation that changed everything. He funded Nana June's medication for years forward, set up a scholarship for me to finish state tech. All the things a single check couldn't do. He offered Samuel a job heading a community initiative for formerly incarcerated men. A job that paid respect, not pity. And then, in a moment that I still have trouble putting into words, he asked if he could do something else, be part of our family, not to replace Samuel, but to make sure someone taught me the things my father missed when he was jailed. Mentorship networks, doors opened. This is where the story becomes messy and human. People asked me if I was sold, if I was bought, if I traded one father for another. They asked if it wasn't weird to accept anything from a man who could write checks like weather. My answer is this: it's not about checks. It's about being seen. Evan wasn't buying my silence. He was buying a promise. A promise that what my father did in a parking lot 15 years ago mattered enough to create a better future. Samuel agreed. He wanted his son to have choices he never had. That decision, to let someone in without feeling like you were selling yourself, was the most complicated, honest thing I've ever said yes to. From there, things exploded in the best way. Evan launched the Samuel Project, a tech initiative for rescue systems based on my hands-on suggestions. We tinkered with drones that could cut through a rip current and bring flotation before a human could reach it. We built apprenticeship loops for men coming home from prison. Kayla's school got a computer lab. Nana June got a trust that meant she would never worry about insulin again. More importantly, the story that started with a single rescue on a Blackwater evening became a million small rescues. Law clinics funded to find wrongful convictions, scholarships for kids who had to choose between work and education, a community center at the old warehouse where my dad once worked. There are sharp edges here. Not every headline was kind. Some people said we had media-driven charity theater. Rich man adopts poor kid. They wrote cynical as an old coat. Others said the system was fixed overnight because one man had money. The truth is, real justice is messy. Rewriting a conviction takes legal patience. Building a program takes time. Healing a family takes a kitchen table and many quiet conversations. But the actions, the rescue, the investigation, the legal team, the scholarships, were real, and the people they helped were realer. If you want the cinematic beat, picture us by the lake a year later, kids practicing CPR while we watch Evan and Samuel standing a few feet apart, both teaching in their own ways. One with a suit, one with rough hands, both pointing to the same thing, show up. That night I thought of Nana June's old rules and my father's tired voice, and I didn't feel like I had traded anything. I felt like we had sewn a bigger quilt from ragged pieces. Here's the thing I want you to leave with: you do not have to be wealthy to change someone else's life. What you do need is courage to act, to wade into cold water, if that's what it takes to stand up in a courtroom, if that's what's required to send a check back, if that is how you hold your integrity. And if someone larger than you wants to repay that act, maybe let them, but don't let gratitude become an excuse for control. Ask questions. Demand accountability. Keep your soul soft where it counts. Now, I want to hear your take. Is kindness a moral act that should always be unpaid, or is it okay for gratitude to be converted into resources that change lives? Have you ever done something because it felt right and then been offered something in return? How did you handle it? Drop a comment. Argue. Disagree. Tell your story. I read every single one. If this moved you, hit like, subscribe for more true life stories told the way they actually happen, messy, human, and honest. And share this with someone who needs to know that one small act can ripple into many lives. What would you do if you saw someone drowning? Literally or figuratively, tell me below.